Good morning, everyone. Today, I've decided to talk about one book that I've came across last year. The book in question is How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling by Frank Bettger. Long story short, last year I decided to start a web sale project. On the advice of a friend who is the CEO of a website company, I started to listen to an Italian podcast about entrepreneur successful stories. Most of them, as inspiring people, cited Tony Robbins, Dale Carnegie, and Frank Bettger. So I decided to read Frank Bettger's book. I found this book really interesting, and in particular the fourth section, How to Make People Want to Do Business with You. But before talking about that, let's introduce the figure of Frank Bettger. He was a professional baseball player that, after a major injury, was forced to retire. Depressed and not knowing what to do next, he attended Daniel Carnegie class, the man who many years after suggested Bettger to write a book. Frank was so excited from that talk that despite the fact he never finished school because he wasn't able to give lecture on selling, he decided to become a salesman. And guess what? He became one of the most famous and inspiring salesmen of U.S. history, and known, as you can see from the first slide. Back to the topic, the author wrote about 5 specific aspects or rules on how to convince someone to do business with you. We know that a solid network of relationship is fundamental for the success of a business or teamwork, and moreover, to become excellent leader. However, it is not an easy task to achieve, and every time it's a brand new challenge. Bettger, in his book, gives 5 specific rules or advices. First, if you will win a man to your cause, first convince him that you are his sincere friend. Second, smile, an honest to goodness smile. Try to remember names and faces. Be brief. And last but not least, if you're afraid, admit it. We know that relationship for teamwork or business are very, very important. And we have to create a network. To do so, try to motivate, appraise, encourage person around you when they need it or they deserve it. Let them know that you see what they are capable of. Ask them about their great ambitions. And if someone has inspired you or helped you in any way, tell him.
If you would win a man to your cause, first convince him that you are his sincere friend. Therein is a drop of honey that catches his heart, which is the high road to his reason, and which, when once gained, you will find but little trouble in convincing his judgment of the justice of your cause, if indeed that cause be a just one. Abraham Lincoln.
As we said, relationships are important. And remember that the sources of our inspiration are mostly 2: great men and women of the past, and the person we work with and the friends we have made. This means that you have to show truly genuine interest about other stories. Be a good listener. This is why it's so important to be a good listener, not only to conquer someone else's trust, but also because they can inspire us. The second point is to smile, be happy. Smile probably is the most powerful instrument that we have, but at the same time, one of the most underrated. When you talk with people, try to approach them with a genuine, honest-to-goodness smile, and you will see that it will give you results immediately. In time, many studies have shown the good effect of smiling. This is true even when we do phone calls. A characteristic of smiling is to be effective even if you don't see it. As I said, it should be a genuine smile, not a fake one. Probably it is a task harder than we thought to achieve because we have to work on us, not letting bad experience influence us. I don't want to dwell too much on this topic, but one of the books that I have found very helpful to work on myself is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
Action seems to following feeling, but really action and feeling go together. And by regulating the action, which is under the more direct control of the will, we can indirectly regulate the feeling, which is not. William James.
Okay, now let's do an exercise. Put the video on pause, call someone you want to call, and start the conversation with a big smile. Do you feel the difference? Okay. Learn how to remember names and faces. Impression, repetition, and association. What do I mean with impression? How many times have you forget a name just after the moment you have met someone? Most of our memory troubles are just observation troubles. Think about last time that this has happened to you. Were you really listening? Also, to get an idea how much it's important to remember a name or a face, think how you felt when somebody forget your name. You didn't like it, right? The first rule to avoid that this happen again is to concentrate as hard as possible on the other person. Make a real effort to remember their name and face. Second, repetition. The second rule is to repeat the name as soon as possible, maybe even during the conversation and at intervals. If you will meet more than one person at the same time, try to get 3 or 4 names at a time and try to assimilate them, forming sentences using their names. But it's possible, anyway, that you will forget a name. If it happens, don't be afraid. Honestly admit that you forget and may try to laugh a bit. Groucho Marx once said, "I never forget a face, but in your case, I'll make an exception." Whenever you encounter someone you know, call him by name. If you're a teacher and you want to remember your student name or you will have a meeting with your coworker, take time beforehand to become familiar with names and faces. Last, try to associate name with facts, event, action picture, and possibly include the person role in the business or the teamwork. By the way, don't forget to help people to remember your name too. When you want to conquer someone's attention and trust, don't submerge them with information, but instead be brief, clear, and go direct to the point. Do you know why salesmen lose business? Because they talk too much. Obviously, this doesn't mean to be abrupt. It means to be brief and go straight to the point.
That great writer Genesis told the story of the creation of the world in 442 words, less than the words we have used in our statement of purpose to be admitted.
Don't be scared to be afraid. How many times have you been afraid during an exam, a public presentation, or to talk to someone important? Most of us are affected by the fear of being afraid to talk to someone important. Don't try to hide it. It will be just double fatigue, and most of the time it's not worth it. If you're afraid, instead of hiding, admit it. Remember, you are not the only one. People will like your sincerity, and you won't feel that oppressive sensation derived by trying to hide your fear. You pay a big compliment to a man when you tell him you are scared in his presence. And as you can see, public speaking is it's considered the greatest fear for a person. Thank you.